Good afternoon, evening, day, night, whatever to everybody. Welcome to the live show for Beartown. I had the book somewhere. Beartown by Frederick Bachman. There we go. See? This was our January. Is it January? I can't speak today. It's January. The book club book for the month of January for the Literary Alliance. So we've been reading it pretty much all month. I think I started mine like on the 1st. It was my first book of the year. And anyways, we're going to talk about it. We're also going to be talking a little bit about our plans for this weekend because we're also in the middle of the Catch-Up-a-thon, which is a weekend readathon that we do the last weekend of every month. And it's a 36-hour readathon. It starts from 8 a.m. on Saturday to 8 p.m. on Sunday. So you get a whole good weekend of reading and updating your TBR, trying to catch up on that massive TBR that you set for yourself at the beginning of the month. So we'll start by talking about that as everybody kind of is joining us. So for me, I had put 7 books on my TBR for the month, and I have 3 left, and I'm in the middle of one of them. So that's cool. And I'm hoping to finish 2 of them this weekend. So Crystal, what about you? How is your reading going this weekend?
It's going pretty good. I finished Beartown this morning, and then I am currently reading Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris.
I have that on my shelf somewhere. You'll have to tell me how that is.
Yeah, it's for the local library's book club, that all you have to do is just write your opinion on this.
Oh, that's cool. And then, do you guys discuss it, or is it you write it down?
You just write it down. It's not their actual. It's like their Slackers book club.
Fair enough.
For us people that can't make it to book club meetings because they're working so much during the day that they just don't want to go.
Oh, come on. Sorry, I'm trying to update there we go. I was trying to find the chat on my phone so that way I didn't have to go back and forth between screens. I haven't done basically any reading today as far as physical reading, but I have been listening to my audiobook. I don't know where Thunderhead went, but I'm reading Thunderhead right now, or listening to it on audio. I'm about on page 175, which is not too far into it, but I'm already really, really enjoying it.
That's good. I have to crack down on actually reading the Scythe series.
It's been a year since I've read Scythe because I read it in January of last year. And I was kind of hesitant to just jump into Thunderhead, but he's doing a really good job spreading it out. Not spreading it out, but recapping without sounding like it's recapping, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I don't feel lost in that book. But anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Yep.
But I'm really enjoying it, and the audiobook's really good. So we'll see how that is. But this is us talking about Beartown. This is my, this is my 3rd Frederick Bachman book. And by far my favorite one. I did really love A Man Called Ova, which is a different feel to it. This one I think is a really, really good social commentary on small towns and sports and the pressure that we put on kids. And I very much enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. Crystal, you want to tell me what you thought about it?
I really did like it, especially as a big sports fan myself, even though hockey is not my first sport that I watch. It was definitely very, very relatable to me in that sense of, usually I watch adults play sports. I don't watch kids play sports. So that's probably a little bit different for me, but I definitely rated it 5 stars as well because it was just such a good book with such relatable topics.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely was. And I grew up in a small town in Texas, so it was for us it was football, not hockey. I know very little about the sport of hockey, but I think he wrote it in a way where you didn't need to know about hockey to enjoy this book, which I think was really, really cool. So for the 3 people on the internet that don't know what this book is about, this is about a small town in, I think it's Scandinavia. Am I correct in that assumption?
I think he's from Scandinavia, but I think this is Canada.
Is it?
He mentions Canada a few times.
Okay, well, maybe it is. But it's a small town called Beartown, and basically the entire town revolves around hockey and the hockey team. Their team is very good. Their junior team is very good, nationally ranked or whatever. Like, they're going to go all the way to the finals. And everybody supports them. And then there's a girl, they're at this party after the semifinal game. And there's this girl who happens to be the general manager's daughter and the star of the hockey team rapes her. So it's a very, very dark and intense book. But after that happens and after she talks about her experience, this is like the book flips, like does a 180 and basically starts talking about how the town responds to it. And that's where I think the social commentary definitely came in, because it taught, like, there was just so much about how the town responded, how different people in the town responded. One of my favorite quotes, not necessarily quotes, but one of my favorite like standout moments was where someone said, if this hadn't have been the star of the hockey team, would we have had the same reaction? Or if it wasn't the general manager's daughter, would we have the same reaction? So like, it just goes to show you how much the hockey and that sport and that team played a role in that town.
Yeah, so, I totally agree.
I mean, it was amazing. And like, I think that's definitely one of the tabs. I tabbed and like annotated the crap out of this book. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely going to end up becoming one of my most prized possessions. Because anytime I annotate a book, I just like, I don't know, I want to stick them on the shelf like this because they look so good.
Right.
Natasha says that this is the first time reading the author. Absolutely loved it. 5-star read for me. I've lived in many hockey towns, so found the subject very relatable. So did I. I mean, not hockey, but football. Texas and football, they go hand in hand. They're together. And they, the towns revolve around their football team. So I totally related to it, and it felt very, I don't want to say nostalgic because we never had like this topic come up, at least that I know of or that I was aware of. But it was still like, it had some similar moments, I guess is what I want to try to say.
Yeah, I'm from a small town too. I mean, we don't really have a sport because I'm from New Hampshire. So there really isn't a sport that we follow as much as like you go in Massachusetts and they have the football rivals like between each high school.
Right.
We didn't have a football team. As a matter of fact, we don't even have a hockey team. So we never really had that, like that top sport that everyone went to for an event.
Right.
It was mainly like, I think basketball, but that was just something to do. It wasn't anything like there was so like how they are with hockey.
But even just like the small town community aspect where like everybody knows each other, everybody, you look out the window and there's your neighbor and you're staring in on what they're doing, and like everybody knows everybody's business.
Yep, I definitely relate to that.
Yeah. So was there a this book definitely has a cast of characters. It's the whole town that basically is, there's no main character. I mean, you have Kevin and Maya, but beyond that, it's everybody. So was there a character for you that like stood out to you?
I liked Ahmed. What he did at the meeting.
Yeah, I did like him. I think my favorite character was probably Kira, because I liked Kira too. Yeah, she was such a strong, badass woman that was just like her entire reason for existence was trying to take care of her daughter, and it was I don't want to go into spoilers quite yet, but like, anytime she hit that roadblock, it just felt so devastating. And there was, to talk early on in the beginning of the book where she talks about the fact that she was, like she felt like she was a bad mother. because she like was working. She was a working mother rather than staying at home and being with her children.
Right. And as somebody who works in the field with children in daycare, I see it a lot more too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, you probably see like as someone who works in childcare and early education, you probably see a lot of like both. You see those working parents, and then you see the stay-at-home moms, and there's probably some animosity between between those two types of people.
Yeah, usually though, where I work, there's no like stay-at-home mom. They're usually working.
Gotcha. Okay.
But in the community I was before this one, it was the stay-at-home moms and working moms.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's like, I mean, we kind of amp it up in fiction about those two types of parents, but that does happen to an extent. Like,
right,
and both of them think that they're better than the other.
Yep.
This book had so many trigger warnings. If you look at my annotations, because I haven't done my review yet for it because I've been like putting it off. But all of the green tabs, which I don't know if you can like really tell the difference because
I can see
writing is bad. But all of the green is content warnings.
Right.
And there are so many of them that I didn't see, like that I didn't know going into. Like obviously you have like the assault and the guilt of that and the trying to come forward and the how the town reacted to her and felt like she was asking for it. Like they literally, the police officer asked her what she was wearing at the party. Like there was that. But then like there was like homophobic comments and things like that in there too, which I was like, oh, I didn't know that was there.
Yeah, and I'm sure that goes on in a lot of locker rooms more than we know too.
Oh, I would imagine so. But yes, Benji is definitely a favorite of mine. I loved Benji.
Yeah, I liked him too.
Yeah, especially towards the end, because I think at the beginning he was a little bit quiet, but then he kind of like found his footing.
Right.
So Crystal and I were talking today about some of like discussion questions, but kind of staying on the topic of characters. What did you think about how the author did not name certain characters?
Well, it was funny because you were looking when you were talking about that question. I couldn't find it until after we talked about it. And that's just to show you, like, that's probably what his point was.
Yeah.
Not naming them, like Kevin's mom, Kevin's dad.
To be honest, like, I didn't go back and look for it. I do remember the bass player. Benji talked about the bass player quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the other characters that weren't named. So that was, like, I mean, I didn't go back and look at it, but it kind of goes to show you that, like, maybe the whole point in not naming it and naming it as like so-and-so's mother, that was the extent of their character. Not because he wanted them to be a flat character, but the author wanted them to be forgettable. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting.
It's Kevin's mother, Kevin's father, David's girlfriend, and Benji's bass player.
That's right. I remember David's girlfriend too, because I even like when I got to that part, I was like, wait, who's this? Like, did we mention that David had a girlfriend previously? But it didn't.
Yeah.
And
then part of the question too was, what effect does calling Maya the young woman have on Maya in her own narrative?
Right. One of the things that I found really interesting, and at first I don't think I liked it, but the writing style is so different than most books that I read.
Right.
It took a little bit to get into, and I think maybe that's why, because I listened to it on audio back last year sometime, and I started listening to it, and I didn't really love the audio, and I think going back and physically reading it was one of, like, I think this might have been why. But it's very short, very staccato. He repeats himself a couple of times in a paragraph to get a point across. But it's a translated work because obviously this was not originally written in English. So I wonder how much of that is the translated work like the work of the translation and how much of it is the actual author's writings.
And Natasha makes a point about not naming Kevin's parents was probably used to show the limited role they play in Kevin's life.
That's fantastic, actually. That's a really, really good observation. Yeah, that's actually like I don't even think that I put 2 and 2 together about that, but
that is a very good point.
Yeah, because if you think about it, so Kevin's like, you know, if his father and mother are just this like blank 2-dimensional character, maybe it's because his role models were Peter and David and like these other like the people in the hockey world, not his actual physical parents.
Mm-hmm.
Abigail says that she listened to the audiobook and the repetition was very impactful as a storytelling device. I could totally see that. I think I probably only got like 100 pages in when I read it the first time. The other reason I put it down, I think it was July.
Yeah,
so,
I actually went through the same
It's really
time.
hard to read about a winter town in July when it's 100 degrees. It was a much better read in January.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I did try reading it before and stopped as well, and that probably was why.
Right. This book was so quotable. Beyond the repetition, there's so many quotes in this book that like I've tabbed. Especially as someone who really who likes sports. I found that was something that, like, you know, some of the sports quotes and how a city takes the sport so seriously, that just kind of reminded me of some stuff. And it was like, I have so many quotes from this book.
Right. Yep.
What were some of the other things that we were talking about earlier? Now I'm like, I should have written this down.
I've written some of it down, but
right.
I think one of them was, what does hockey mean to the people of Beartown?
I mean, it's something that like their entire existence revolves around it.
Yeah.
And I think that's that was like what we were saying, like I was saying before, kind of getting into spoilers a little bit, but when the investigation is going on and how they went about the investigation and how Kevin was, you know, when he was arrested and how the optics of that looked. There was that conversation, I think it was between Soon and David, where he was saying, if this wasn't Peter's daughter that was raped, would we have treated it any different? And on the flip side, if it wasn't the star of the hockey team, it would have been just some random kid off the street that wasn't part of this team, would it have been the same?
Oh, absolutely agreed. Especially as a sports fan who lives in New England, and that's to some people that's their everything.
Right.
And we've had some issues lately, and it's definitely that same thing of what would it mean if it was this or that or whatever. Mm-hmm. Especially being a Patriots fan with Antonio Brown.
Right.
Yeah, I said 2 weeks he was going to do something to get himself out, and it was almost the same situation as this book. So
Yep.
2 weeks later, he was out.
You're right.
So
I mean, his agent dropped him, everything.
Yep. So it could have really been the same with Kevin if he was in the, you know.
Well, and that's totally true. And if you think about it, even at the beginning of the book, when the agent was talking about Kevin and they were saying, like, is he going to be a, you know, he's going to be a star, but what about his off ice problems? Do we have any of that? And they're like, no, we don't. Like, had it all played out differently, and maybe Maya didn't go to the police, didn't report this, and we just moved on with our lives, would he have done the same? Like, he would have been drafted into the into the NHL.
Yeah.
And then we would have had, would he have continued to do this as his status and his fame grew?
Right. And Abigail makes a point that I think she also mentions that if it's in the book, if it wasn't the star player, say if it was Bobo,
right,
would have had the same reaction.
Right, yeah. Because it was obviously like, after he got arrested, they were, pretty distraught about, what are we going to do? Like their focus was more on how are we going to win this game without Kevin than Kevin just did something terrible.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about that?
Mm-hmm.
Natasha said that they listened to the audiobook and found the writing hooked before the story. And that's totally, I mean, like, I totally see that. I could see, like, and I think I had posted on the Facebook group, like that first line, that first chapter, which is like two sentences, is the most epic start to a book that I've ever seen. But I actually, and I was thinking about this as I finished the book, I forgot about that first page because the whole thing is about a rape and how that town reacts to that. I totally forgot that the beginning of the scene starts with a shooting.
Right.
Until we got to the very end, and I was like, oh yeah. And I had to go back and be like, oh yeah, that's how that's all led up to this.
Yeah, he puts in quite a few pages the bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, but even, I mean, it was towards the end of the book. It wasn't like, I don't know, it was a long journey to get there. Not that that's a bad thing, but it was a long journey to get there.
Yeah, and he hasn't in like I just did like the middle of the book, and he had like the bang, 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 like he had.
Oh, that's
he
right.
has again, again, again. So he has that same kind of writing style throughout the book. I think
too. One of the things about the writing style that I actually found, like in any other book, I probably would have hated it, but the way that he did it was so fantastic that, and Frederick Bachman is known for flipping a switch about the midway point of the book and completely turning everything on its head, which obviously that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But once Maya reports, and once not even reports it, but tells her parents what happens, everything sped up 100 times. And we started jumping around, and like not only did the like sentence structure become more staccato, but also the way that we jump from scene to scene. And I think that was because we're dealing with so many different people, and at the beginning you're having to like introduce characters and get to know them and learn how they play a role, but once that happens, it's, I mean, a paragraph of Benji, a paragraph of Kevin, a paragraph of Maya, a paragraph with Peter, and it's like how this one decision affects every single person in that town in different ways. And I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. Because it really does speed up the book faster. Like I was reading Little Fires Everywhere, and it was the same way. Like it was the beginning was like, oh, this is what she did, trying to avoid spoilers. And then the paragraphs, kind of the same way, paragraphs for each of the children. And then the end was the same way.
Yeah, I need to read that book. But it was, what was I going to say? I don't remember. But it just like, oh, that's right. It sped everything up, and it upped the stakes so quickly to the point where like I finished that book so fast. As far as like once I got into it, it was everything was like I just kept turning the page, and it was so good.
Yeah, it was. And I did both the audio and reading the book, the physical book. And so it was definitely both that same, like, it made it quicker.
Right. I love the fact that one of the first books that I finished in the year is going to end up probably making my best books of 2020.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
I think most of my books actually I read in January are going to become some of my favorites of the year.
Yeah. I think last year I had one that I read in January, ended up on the top of the year. So that's cool. One of the questions that was on here was talking about the different types of parenting styles in the town, which I kind of thought it was interesting because obviously everyone lives in the same town. Everybody knows everybody's business. So like one would think that we would parent similarly. But the fact that we showcased things that were so different was interesting. Like obviously Peter and Kira were so, they were very involved, and it was like, once Maya told her parents what happened, everybody jumped into action. Whereas I think Kevin's parents were like trying to deny it.
Yep.
Which I thought that was interesting.
I think the mother started to kind of realize that it happened.
Towards the end, I think, when she talks about like, she looked into her face and she knew, but that was like after the investigation was over.
Right. And that's when they closed it, right? Since she realized that it probably happened.
Right. So obviously, like, this is kind of we're getting into spoilers at this point. But what did you think about the ending of the book?
I love the ending of the book.
Why?
I think just more, just how prominent it was and strong it was that she could have killed Kevin, but she did not.
Right. Yeah, no, she was in complete control of everything. But I think that was a huge character decision for her. It was it was definitely a choice. That book that ended very open-endedly.
Yep.
Which I don't love in books. And I think that, like, if I didn't know there was a sequel, I would maybe have been a little bit mad. Especially when it talks about the 4 boys, and in 2 years' time, 2 will be playing professionally, and 1 will be a dad, and 1 will be dead. And you have to put those pieces together as the reader, which is definitely a writing choice, but it's a different choice than I might have liked had I not known that we had a sequel coming.
Yeah. And I wonder if he wrote that knowing he was going to write a sequel.
Did he?
I don't know. I don't know when this Beartown came out. The translation came out in 17.
Right.
18.
Okay.
And then I think Us Against You came out last year.
Gotcha. Okay, they're finally. I have comments finally coming in, so I'm trying to catch up with them. I also was really mad at Kevin's mother because she hid the evidence, and even though she was sorry, she didn't tell what she did to the police. Yes, but I think that's at the same time, like, she was doing what she knew that she could do to protect her son. So I think it was like, you saw the way that Peter and Kira protected Maya, but I think like on the flip side of that, Kevin's mother was doing what he could to protect Kevin.
Yeah.
They might have thought that he was innocent.
Right. Because I think, wasn't it somebody burnt their sheets and all the clothes?
Right. Yeah, she did.
Okay, it was her.
Yeah, it was her. Natasha said, yes, I struggled that the mother was determined to protect her child. The book did allude to the fact that this was a normal practice for her. I mean, yes, but I mean, that's the thing with this book is, like, we obviously know that Kevin did a terrible thing. And I think that he's the only bad guy in this entire book. Because obviously, like, the parents did things that were terrible. The hockey team, the board, did things that were terrible and looked the other way and weren't focused on the rape and what happened to Maya. But are they a product of their environment? Like, are they, like, actually bad people?
Right. Because the people that are the people that are helping them out and teaching them to grow, are they that way? And they're learning from them.
Exactly. Books on a Wire said, I had Us Against You readily available. I do too. I'm thinking I'll probably read it for Contemporary-a-thon.
That's what I'm thinking of reading it too.
Natasha said, I was initially mad at the ending, left so open-ended until I realized that there was a sequel. I don't enjoy cliffhangers, although with that said, it was exceptionally well done. It was. And I think that if it had been a standalone, I think it still would have worked. You just, as the reader, would have had to assume a few more things. And there are books that do very well that have open endings that are standalones. I'm not a reader that prefers those, but I think that it's a writing choice.
Mm-hmm. Just know if you read Little Fires Everywhere, it's open-ended.
Right.
The ending is open-ended.
Right. People aren't bad or good. It comes down to the choices, and their choices define you as a person. That's true. That's so true. Anyways, yeah, those were my main thoughts on the book. I thought that I would have like a lot more critical thoughts on this book, just because it is so well reviewed by so many different people. Mm-hmm. But it's at this point, I just want to be like, oh, I love it.
Yep, that's how I feel too. Actually, just finishing it today. I love it.
I have Us Against You, and then I still have
Britt Marie. Was it Britt Marie, or Britt Marie is here?
Yeah, I still have Britt Marie, which is in the same universe as My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry.
Yeah, I thought it was a sequel, but it's not.
No, I think it's actually a prequel.
Maybe.
Ish. But I'm less excited to read that one because Britt Marie was one of my least favorite characters in My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. And so I'm like, do I really want to read a book like completely dedicated to her when she's not a very likable character? So I'm just like less excited.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, other than that, yeah. So, anyways, those were our thoughts on Beartown. Did you have any other like of the discussion questions? I can't talk today.
That's okay.
You wanted to point out?
Did you notice the difference in the social classes of like Kevin's family as opposed to like, is it a Met's family? I think it's a Met's family.
I don't know if it's just that I didn't notice it, like I wasn't focused on that, or it wasn't well portrayed, but I honestly did not picture them in different classes. I saw them all as like basically suburban white people.
Yeah.
I know it's terrible, but
with I think it was Kevin's father gave him that money probably to keep quiet.
That's right.
And he said something about getting his mom a new job or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So that again makes sense. Like we're using our power to control things and control situations, and again, that's just another like nail in that social commentary. Like he did really well with that. We kind of touched on this a little bit with Kira being like a working mother, but what did you think about like the differences in gender roles in the book?
I think it's brought up something about when the kids was there like a group of kids that tried to vandalize their house, and Kira was the one who fought, and Peter was the one who didn't, or something.
Right.
Trying to find it, and it was something about, you know, how do you feel that I fight? And Peter was like, how do you feel that I don't?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I kind of saw it very stereotypical for the most part, with the exception of like that scene when they were trying to like break that mold. But the fact that like there is no girls hockey team, there's there was not even conversation of a girls hockey team. It was like, oh no, girls don't play hockey, boys play hockey. But even like to the point where like Kira's breaking that mold, being a working mother, instead of having the traditional female role of being a wife and being a mother and being a hockey mom.
I just totally forgot the point I was going to make, but you can go with the question.
Right. Abigail said, what did you guys think about Mia's way to resolve her trauma was to create trauma for her perpetrator? Yeah, I mean, it definitely did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, you have a gun to your head, and then you
Mm-hmm.
get to walk away from it.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's something that Kevin, up until, well, not up until that point, but up until, up through the investigation, he thought he got away scotch-free. He said, was there really a rape? The investigation's closed. They couldn't find any evidence. So he thought he got away with it. And so that being said, had he been drafted into the NHL and had a future, he probably would have continued to do crap like this.
Probably.
But it's, maybe this pointed him in the right direction, or would have pointed him in the right direction. But I think it says more about the character of Maya than it does Kevin.
Yeah.
Because I think that that was the point where she was in control.
Yeah.
And she got to call the shots, and she held all the cards there. And I think that her not choosing to kill him was a bigger character decision on her part.
Yeah. Natasha makes the comment that you're about to show.
Yeah. Maya showed a lot of restraint in her action. Despite her anger, she let him live, but at the same time took his power away. Was it okay? No. Did Kevin need to learn a lesson? Yes. There we go. Yeah. That's perfect. It's one of those tough things, because I'm not a victim of rape, so I'm definitely not speaking from an own voices here, but you lose a lot of power when the investigation shows that there wasn't anything that happened. You feel like you have to, at that point, take matters into your hands.
Yeah, I think that's what she did.
And that's what she did. That's what she did. But she didn't kind of jump off that cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, Abigail says, I like that she took back her power.
Yeah.
Without it being clearly said, I think it was part of her healing. Absolutely. It was absolutely part of her healing. I think it made her stronger and more of a, not a victim anymore.
Yeah. But I wonder if that's what they talk about in Us Against You.
So apparently Us Against You takes place 3 weeks after the end of Beartown. So
yeah. They talk about them being 16.
At least that's what I've heard, because I was listening to Julie's review about it. And she said that it takes place right after Beartown.
Yeah, with the first couple pages I read, you can definitely tell it's right after Beartown, as they talk about them being 16.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or the girls being 16.
Right. And that was how old they were. And the boys, they say, what was it? 2 were 18 and 2 were 16 or something like that. Yep. Those 4 boys.
Yeah.
So, we had the 4 boys, and then it was 2 would play professionally. 1 would be a dad and 1 would be dead. Do you have any assumptions as to which ones were which?
Let me look up which characters they were, because it was Zachariah.
So Amat, Zacharias, Bobo, and Benjamin.
Tua just turned 16. I'm trying to think. Amet was 15, 16, right?
So it says 2 have just turned 16. 2 will soon be turning 18. But did he write that in the order of the characters, or did he mix it up, just so that you have to guess?
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that. Let me see. Did I not tab this part? Dang it. I think Benji's the one that dies.
I can kind of see that.
Because it talks, it's either going to be either Benji that's dead, or it's David that's dead. That when they talk about that tombstone,
Yeah, because Benjamin is mentioned in the last few pages of Us Against You with Maya.
Why are you, jumping ahead?
I don't know. I just happened to look just out of sheer curiosity, but
Well, so then maybe it's because the reason why I say that is because they had this thing where they called Benjamin like the greatest bastard or something like that.
Yeah,
and then that's on the tombstone with the puck and the watch. And so originally I thought because the watch was between Kevin and Benji, it kept getting passed around. So originally when I read that, I was like, oh, it's Kevin because Kevin's about to get shot.
That's what I thought too.
Right. But then Kevin's not shot. So then I'm like, well, it has to be Benji. Because that would just make sense. And then the only reason I think it could be it's David that it was David's watch, right? Not Peter. I get the two confused.
Yes. What I'm trying to read is what that quote is. It's something about the bravest bastard he's ever known or something.
Right. Well, and then on the tombstone, it says still the greatest bastard or something like that.
But I think that's the point is it's trying to make us think.
Right. But it's super open-ended. And I think, again, it could have worked as a standalone. You just would have had to assume a lot more. And you would have had to make these guesses. And we would still be having this conversation. And we would still be discussing these things. We just wouldn't have an answer in Us Against You. At least I hope there's an answer.
Oh, Us Against You is the new Beartown team with the new character.
Oh, okay.
So maybe there is somebody else.
All right, cool. I have not read I haven't read the back of the book. Anytime that there's a sequel and I haven't read the first one yet, I don't like reading the book flap of the sequel because I don't want to get spoiled for the first book.
Right.
So now I need to go and read the book flap.
Yeah, that's what I did earlier.
Right. So anyways, does anybody else have any other comments on Beartown? So Abigail was talking about the trauma triangle and talking about being the victim, the bystander, the perpetrator, and the rescuer. And when you go through trauma, you can play all of those roles all at the same time.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, no, that's pretty much all of the things that I wanted to discuss with Beartown.
Yep.
What are your reading plans for the rest of the Catch-Up-a-thon? Everybody else can comment in the comments what you guys are planning on reading for the rest of it. I think we've got for me, I'm I'm about 9 hours into it.
I think I'm about 10. I'm almost at 12 hours.
Yeah.
I want to finish the Behind Closed Doors.
Awesome.
And then after that, I really don't know. I don't know if I want to read a book of the month book because part of what I'm trying to do this year is read most of my book of the month books.
Yeah.
So,
I need to. I have so many of them.
Yeah, I do too. That's why I think somebody posted it's like a book of the month challenge for the year.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I need to do that.
Right. Well, I love Chelsea's Reading the Rainbow always has a book of the month in it, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. I eventually want to do that because I have a lot of black books.
Yeah. It's not really rainbow though.
Yeah, that's not the rainbow, but my red books would definitely be getting rid of a lot of my red books.
Right. But I mean, you could do reading black books for a week or something like that.
Yeah. Because that's
and then you could vlog it. Then you could vlog it and put it up on your new channel.
Yeah, maybe. But it did make me look at my books and go, oh, I need to stop buying black books.
But, or don't, because they look really good on a shelf.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Natasha says, they're halfway through Becoming. I loved that book. That was
I want to read that.
Listen to it on audio because Michelle Obama narrates it.
Is it on Scribd?
Used to be.
Okay.
I also have Chloe Brown audiobook on the go. That is this is a good segue. That is our February book of the month for the book club book pick. There we go. I think what we're going to do is try to find 1 week to read it rather than trying to span it across the entire month. Now, obviously, you can read it throughout the month, but if we have the majority of people reading it in that 1 week, then we can discuss things, and then we're not like spoiling things. And because it's a contemporary, because it fits a ton of the challenges for Contemporary-a-thon, we're looking at the week of what is that week?
The 10th. It's whatever that week Valentine's Day is.
Right. I think it's the 10th through the 16th.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? Yeah, the 10th through the 16th. Is the week of Contemporary-a-thon. So if you're participating in it, I want to say, so it doesn't have, let's see, hold on.
Where's my, okay, because I wrote it down for the challenges.
Okay, so it's a diverse contemporary, and it is a person of color.
Yeah.
It could be considered a hard hitting because she has a chronic illness.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And it has the illustrated cover.
Do what?
It has the illustrated cover.
It has an illustrated cover. If you want to stretch it, teal is a form of green. So
okay.
it can fit that.
Yeah,
and then what are the other prompts? I don't have it in front of me.
New to you author, which is
A new to you author. So if you haven't read anything by Talia Hibbert, that would be it. And then a book that somebody recommended to you. Crystal and I are officially recommending you this book. Also, it made like the top books of 2019 for multiple people. So someone recommended it to you. Is that all the challenges?
Over a year, right?
Do what?
It's a backlist book too?
It's not a backlist.
Okay. Because I remember when it came out. Was it like November?
It was last year, yeah.
Yeah.
This was my November 2019.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
And backlist generally means that they have another book out since then.
Okay.
So it's not a backlist, but it would fit all the other challenges. So with this one book, you could definitely be participating in Contemporary-a-thon.
Yeah, I know she has a new one coming out this year.
Well, she'll have the sequel to it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
It'll be a backlist by the next one.
Yeah, but I think it comes out in the fall. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at Goodreads right now and see when it comes out, but it's being really slow. It's Take a Hint, Danny Brown.
Yeah, and it's a side character in that one. I think it's their sister, maybe. Books on Mars. I've created so many challenges for myself. It's ridiculous. Me too. I'm really trying to back off of it this year, but it's not happening. Working on Queen of Nothing, an Elle Kennedy book. I love Elle Kennedy. And a historical romance. That's a lot all at once. Queen of Nothing was really good. I really enjoyed it. I think a lot of people were very disappointed in it, but I really, really liked it.
I haven't read The Cruel Prince yet, so.
What are you doing with your life?
I don't know what I'm doing with my life. One of my goals is to read the series that are on my shelves, though.
There you go.
Catch up on some series, so.
There you go. I think I gave it 4 stars. So like it was good. It didn't like meander like, some fantasy books tend to do.
Right.
Let's see. For some reason, these are coming back. These are like coming up so much later on my stream.
Yeah, I've got the thing open on the YouTube channel. So
yeah, on YouTube it's coming up so much faster. I don't know. I'm struggling to keep track of all the challenges, but Chloe's I signed up for it. Seriously, me too.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I was gonna do that with you guys. And then like you add in buddy reads, and it's a mess. It's totally a mixed bag. Like if you like the nostalgia factor, it's a good series. It wasn't perfect. I think the book was rushed, but that's neither here nor there. It will be in my December wrap up because I haven't done that, even though it's the end of January. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
This is how it works. It's fine.
Cool. I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I don't like fantasies that are like 1,000 pages long because I get lost. So there's that. But anyways, we're not talking about Beartown anymore, and we're not really talking about the weekend plans, but that's fine.
Okay, I started this year with the 700-page book, so it's totally fine.
I had Supernova that I finished, and that was like 600 and something pages, and then Thunderhead is 500 pages. Beartown was 400 and something. So like Goodreads is stressing me out because it's saying I'm a book behind schedule, and I know I will like catch up because like I haven't read any graphic novels this year, which I
haven't either. Yeah,
I should just go pick one up to get back on track. But like I haven't done that. I haven't, we haven't had any like real week-long readathons. Like Contemporary-a-thon, I'm going to read a ton, so I'll catch back up. But it's stressing me out right now.
Well, luckily, Contemporary-a-thon, I think I'll still have Fridays off, so I'll have a 4-day weekend to read, which would be really nice.
Oh my gosh, you're associating me with a book? When is the best season to read it? I read it in June. I don't know that there's an actual season to it.
Well, it depends when you want to read. He's fantasy, right?
Yeah, it's fantasy.
Yeah.
So there's not really any association with weather. I always assumed it was hot because there's 3 suns.
I haven't read it. I haven't read that either, but it's at the local library.
It's a trip. It is a trip. But yeah, no, I would say summer. Like it's not a beach read. Don't take it to the beach. But I just always assumed it was hot because of the 3 suns. And like the first book takes place when I think the second book also takes place when all 3 of the suns are in the sky. So I like just in my head, I was like, oh, it must be hot.
So it's not a creepy read?
I don't think so. Like there's not, I mean, other than like the fact that Mr. Kindly is like a shadow demon. And so he's like a ghost cat. So like that's kind of creepy. But there's definitely more like death, but not like creepy. I don't know. I don't associate it with Halloween or like in that traditional sense. But I think it could totally work. Definitely work.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Fantasy books, unless they're winter, I don't usually associate with a season. Like The Bear, the Nightingale, I automatically associate it with winter. Haven't read it yet, but that's just what I read it yet either. Yeah. Because it's Russian tales. Like same with the Hazelwood. Like I totally associated that with winter, even though it really wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm trying to like look at my fantasy shelves. Like I don't associate fantasy books with certain seasons per se.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of fantasy on my shelf. I'm trying to pick up on my thrillers though.
We should fix that.
Good. I do have the Cruel Prince series, whatever that series is actually called.
The which ones?
The Cruel Prince. I have all 3 of those books.
Yeah. I think The Wicked King was probably my favorite of the book of those 3. But anyways, we are coming up on an hour, and that's how long we were planning on talking. So do you have any last minute thoughts?
Nothing really.
All right. Well, happy reading, everybody. We still have until 8 p.m. tomorrow night. So if you wanted to try to stay up all night and read, go for it. Anyways, that's all I had. Sorry, I was going to finish answering these questions. Either one of those is amazing. I love Illuminate too.
I still have Illuminate on my shelf actually. So
Illuminate would actually probably be creepier because even though it's like a space sci-fi, like, plan, like spaceship attacking another spaceship, there's also a zombie virus. So there's that. So that's also kind of creepy. But anyways, okay. So yeah, 8 p.m. on Sunday is the end of the catch-up-a-thon. So good luck with all of your reading, and I hope that you catch up on your TBR and knock it out of the park. So, anyways, thank you guys for joining us, and I'll announce the live show because I don't know when the live show for February will be. It'll be in the middle of February's catch-up-a-thon, but I don't remember which weekend that is. The last weekend of February.
There is a leap year this year.
Oh yeah. Oh, there you go. So anyways, but we're gonna be reading Get a Life, Chloe Brown. So I hope you guys can join us and have a good evening. Bye everybody.
Bye.